The sun dipped low over Los Angeles, painting the sky with strokes of amber and crimson as the bustling city began to wind down for the evening. The streets near downtown were alive with a cacophony of sounds, honking horns, chattering passers-by, and the occasional melody of a street musician's guitar. Amid the chaos, a small, unnoticed corner served as a haven for the city's forgotten souls. Here, under a weathered blue tarp patched together with duct tape, sat a man in his late 30s. His face was gaunt, framed by a scruffy beard, and his clothes bore the unmistakable wear of life on the streets. Yet, his eyes burned with an intensity that seemed out of place. This was Adrian Parker, a man who once stood on the precipice of greatness. A decade earlier, Adrian had been a rising star in the tech world, a brilliant physicist with an uncanny knack for solving problems others deemed impossible. But a combination of personal tragedy and corporate sabotage had sent his life spiraling. Unable to recover, Adrian had slipped through society's cracks, his genius overshadowed by his disheveled appearance and lack of resources. That evening, Adrian sat on a milk crate, tinkering with a makeshift device cobbled together from discarded electronics. His hands moved with precision, adjusting wires and soldering connections under the dim glow of a streetlight. A sleek black Tesla pulled up to the curb, its quiet hum barely disturbing the air. From it emerged Elon Musk, the enigmatic billionaire and tech visionary. Clad in his usual black t-shirt and jeans, he had been on his way to a charity gala when a sudden tire puncture forced him to pull over in this part of town. Elon was on the phone with his assistant, trying to arrange for a replacement vehicle, when his eyes caught sight of Adrian. The odd collection of electronics and the man's focused demeanor piqued his curiosity. For a moment, Elon hesitated, torn between ignoring the scene and following his gut instinct to investigate. Curiosity won. "Hey," Elon called out, approaching cautiously. "What are you working on there?" Adrian looked up, momentarily startled. He shielded his eyes from the car's headlights before responding. "Just trying to make something useful out of junk," he said, his voice carrying a mix of defensiveness and exhaustion. Elon crouched beside him, scanning the device. It appeared to be a compact generator, surprisingly sophisticated despite its crude assembly. "Is that a thermoelectric converter?" Adrian blinked, surprised. Most people who glanced at his work would dismiss it as junk. "Yeah," he admitted reluctantly. "Trying to make a portable energy source using ambient heat. It's not much, but it works." Elon's eyes widened with genuine interest. "Not much? This is impressive. You built this from scraps?" Adrian shrugged, unsure if he was being mocked. "It's what I do. Or used to do, anyway." Sensing the man's hesitance, Elon extended a hand. "I'm Elon. And I think you're underselling yourself." Adrian hesitated before shaking his hand. "Adrian Parker. Used to work in theoretical physics before, well, life happened." Their conversation deepened as Adrian explained his background, his ideas, and the series of unfortunate events that led to his current situation. Elon listened intently, captivated not just by Adrian's brilliance but also by the resilience it must have taken to keep innovating despite his circumstances. By the time the replacement vehicle arrived, Elon had made up his mind. "Look, Adrian," he said, standing to leave, "you shouldn't be here. Come by my office tomorrow. I'd like to see what else you've got." Adrian's skeptical expression softened, replaced by a flicker of hope. "You serious?" "Dead serious," Elon replied with a grin. "Talent like yours shouldn't go to waste." As the Tesla sped away, Adrian sat in stunned silence. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of something he thought he had lost forever: hope. What neither of them realized was that this chance encounter would set off a chain of events that would not only change Adrian's life but also lead to innovations that could redefine the future of sustainable energy. The following day, Adrian stood in the gleaming lobby of Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto, a stark contrast to the streets he had called home. The polished floors and glass walls reflected the sunlight streaming in, making the space feel almost otherworldly. Adrian's clothes were clean but still bore signs of wear, and he clutched his thermoelectric converter like a lifeline. A sleekly dressed receptionist greeted him, her professional demeanor softening when she saw the guarded determination in his eyes. "Mr. Parker, Mr. Musk is expecting you. Please follow me." Adrian's heart pounded as he was led to a private conference room. Inside, Elon sat at a table surrounded by a few of his top engineers, their laptops open and eyes curious. "Adrian," Elon said, rising to greet him. "Glad you could make it. I wanted you to meet the team." Adrian nodded cautiously, feeling out of place but determined. "Thanks for having me here." Elon gestured toward the thermoelectric device in Adrian's hands. "Let's start with that. Show us what it can do." Adrian's hands shook slightly as he placed the device on the table and began explaining its function. "It's a prototype, a portable generator that converts ambient heat into electricity. It's not perfect, but it could be scaled up for practical applications." One of the engineers leaned in, scrutinizing the device. "You're saying this works on such a small scale? That's impressive. How efficient is it?" "About 18%, Adrian replied, earning murmurs of approval. Elon's eyes lit up. "That's a good start. Imagine refining this technology. A portable power source with scalable efficiency, this could revolutionize off-grid energy solutions." But just as Adrian began to feel a sense of belonging, the conversation took an unexpected turn. One of the engineers opened a laptop, displaying a 3D model. "This looks oddly similar to a project we shelved last year, the Artemis converter. Are you familiar with it?" Adrian stiffened. His face paled as he recognized the design. It was his. "I'm more than familiar," Adrian said, his voice tightening. "That's my work. I developed the prototype at Soltech Labs before they fired me. They claimed my designs were proprietary, but they never moved forward with the project." The room fell silent. Adrian could feel the weight of their gazes. Elon broke the tension. "Wait, are you saying Soltech buried this technology?" "Not just buried it," Adrian said bitterly. "They sabotaged me. When I refused to sign over exclusive rights to my research, they blacklisted me. I lost my job, my reputation, everything." The revelation electrified the room. Elon leaned back, his expression unreadable. "If what you're saying is true, this is bigger than we thought. Soltech likely saw the potential but wanted complete control." "Exactly," Adrian said, his voice trembling. "I tried to fight them, but I didn't have the resources. I ended up on the streets, but I couldn't let the idea die. So, I rebuilt it, piece by piece, with whatever I could find." Elon stood, pacing. "This isn't just about the device anymore. If Soltech is suppressing viable technology for profit, they're holding back progress." One of the engineers spoke cautiously. "But if they own the intellectual property?" Elon cut him off. "If Adrian created it, it's his. Let's dig into this." Adrian was overwhelmed. The very man who had changed the world with Tesla and SpaceX was now championing his cause. Yet, he also felt a gnawing fear. What if Soltech comes after me again? Elon stopped pacing and fixed Adrian with a determined gaze. "Let them try. I have resources they can't ignore. We'll fight this together." The team sprang into action, reviewing Adrian's design and comparing it to Soltech's archived patents. Over the next few hours, a picture emerged. Adrian's claims held weight. By the end of the day, Elon made a bold decision. "We're going to develop this. Not just for commercial use, but to make energy accessible to everyone. And Adrian, you're leading the project." Adrian's head swam. For years, he had been invisible, his ideas dismissed and his life reduced to survival. Now, he was at the center of a battle that could redefine the energy industry. Unbeknownst to either of them, this decision would ignite a fierce legal and corporate war, challenging everything they stood for. But in that moment, Adrian felt something he hadn't in years, a sense of purpose. The days following Elon's decision were a whirlwind for Adrian. Thrust into the spotlight at Tesla's cutting-edge R&D division, he found himself surrounded by top-tier engineers, scientists, and strategists. His thermoelectric converter, once dismissed as a pipe dream scavenged from scraps, was now the focal point of a high-stakes project that Elon insisted could change the world. But the journey was far from smooth. The first challenge came in the form of skepticism. Some members of the Tesla team weren't sold on Adrian's capabilities, given his lack of resources and his years off the grid. They questioned his methods, his knowledge of current technologies, and even his mental stability. With all due respect, Mr. Parker, one senior engineer, Lisa Chang, said during a heated meeting, the efficiency threshold you're proposing sounds overly optimistic. We've seen similar claims before, and they've all hit insurmountable technical barriers. Adrian bristled at the skepticism but held his ground. I understand your doubt, he replied, his voice steady. But I've spent years refining this design. The barriers you're worried about are solvable, if we rethink how we manage heat dissipation and integrate nanostructured materials. Elon, watching from the head of the table, raised a hand to silence the growing murmurs. Adrian's right. This isn't about sticking to what's been done before. We need to innovate, and that means taking risks. Let's focus on solutions, not problems. Even with Elon's backing, Adrian couldn't escape his own insecurities. Imposter syndrome gnawed at him as he worked late into the night, surrounded by state-of-the-art equipment he'd once only dreamed of using. He feared that his years of isolation had dulled his skills, that he would fail to live up to the expectations of the team, and Elon. Meanwhile, external pressures began to mount. News of the project leaked to the media, triggering a frenzy of speculation. Headlines ranged from hopeful, Tesla's next big thing, portable energy revolution, to critical, homeless inventor or PR stunt. The truth behind Tesla's bold gamble. Soltech Labs, upon hearing whispers of Adrian's involvement with Tesla, launched an aggressive counteroffensive. Their legal team issued a cease and desist letter, claiming ownership of the core technology and threatening to sue Tesla for intellectual property theft. This is a classic move, Tesla's legal counsel explained during a tense boardroom meeting. They're banking on the fact that Adrian can't afford to fight back on his own. But with our resources, we can challenge their claims. Adrian felt a wave of guilt as the team discussed legal strategies. I never wanted to drag Tesla into my mess, he said quietly to Elon after the meeting. Elon placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. This isn't just about you, Adrian. It's about the principle. Corporations like Soltech think they can crush innovation to protect their profits. If we let them win, it sets a dangerous precedent. Despite Elon's confidence, the legal battle weighed heavily on everyone. Soltech's lawyers were relentless, filing motion after motion to delay Tesla's progress. They also launched a smear campaign against Adrian, painting him as unstable and unreliable. One particularly damning article resurfaced an incident from Adrian's past, a public outburst at a tech conference years ago when he had accused Soltech executives of theft. At the time, his claims had been dismissed as baseless, and the article portrayed him as a disgruntled ex-employee desperate for attention. Adrian couldn't help but feel the sting of those words. Maybe they're right, he confessed to Lisa Chang one evening, after another grueling day in the lab. Maybe I'm just some washed-up crackpot chasing an impossible dream. To Adrian's surprise, Lisa's expression softened. Look, she said, setting aside her clipboard, I had my doubts about you at first. But I've seen your work. It's brilliant. And you're not doing this alone anymore. We're a team. Her words gave Adrian a glimmer of hope, but the challenges kept coming. The prototype development hit a major snag when initial tests revealed flaws in the heat-to-electricity conversion mechanism. The efficiency rate dropped significantly under real-world conditions, threatening the project's viability. Adrian worked tirelessly alongside the team, poring over schematics and running simulations. Each setback felt like a personal failure, and he began pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion. One night, Elon found Adrian asleep at his workstation, his head resting on a stack of notes. Gently shaking him awake, Elon handed him a cup of coffee. "You're no good to us if you burn out," Elon said. Adrian sighed. "I just don't want to let you down." "You won't," Elon replied firmly. "You've already come farther than anyone else could have in your position. The key to solving this isn't killing yourself over it. It's thinking differently. Take a break. Sometimes the best ideas come when you're not looking for them." Elon's words resonated with Adrian, and he reluctantly took the night off. The next morning, refreshed and inspired, he approached the problem from a new angle, incorporating ideas from quantum thermodynamics that he had long ago shelved as impractical. As the prototype's efficiency began to improve, Adrian realized that the biggest obstacle wasn't the technology or even Soltech's legal threats, it was his own self-doubt. With each small victory in the lab, he began to rebuild not just the device but also his belief in himself. But as the project neared completion, the stakes rose higher than ever, setting the stage for a showdown that would determine not only Adrian's future but also the direction of sustainable energy innovation itself. Adrian sat in Tesla's R&D lab, staring at the prototype. It hummed softly, its inner components glowing faintly as the latest adjustments brought its efficiency to an unprecedented 24%. The breakthrough had silenced many doubters on the team, but Adrian couldn't shake the nagging feeling that they were still racing against an invisible clock. Elon entered the lab with his usual brisk energy, holding a tablet. "Adrian, you're going to want to see this." Adrian looked up. "What is it?" Elon placed the tablet on the desk, showing a series of leaked documents from an anonymous whistleblower inside Soltech Labs. The files contained technical specifications for a project nearly identical to Adrian's thermoelectric converter. "They're trying to beat us to market," Elon explained. "They've accelerated development, probably to undermine everything we've done here." Adrian's eyes scanned the documents, and his heart sank. Not only had Soltech stolen his original designs, but they had also made recent advancements suspiciously similar to Tesla's latest innovations. He recognized ideas and solutions that hadn't existed until Tesla's team had started collaborating with him. "They've been spying on us," Adrian said, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Elon nodded grimly. "It looks that way. We've identified a potential mole, but the damage is done. If they launch before us, they'll claim the market and discredit us. And they won't hesitate to crush you in the process." For a moment, Adrian felt paralyzed. The overwhelming forces of corporate greed and manipulation that had ruined his life before were now bearing down on him again, this time with even greater ferocity. "What do we do?" Adrian asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Elon leaned forward, his expression uncharacteristically serious. "We fight smarter. And that starts with taking a hard look at what you've built and asking if there's something we've missed, something that sets your work apart." Adrian spent the next 2 days in relentless pursuit of an answer. He reviewed every line of code, every component, and every theoretical model tied to the project. He worked late into the night, driven by a combination of desperation and determination. It was during one of these long nights, as Adrian reviewed old notebooks filled with scrawled equations and sketches, that he stumbled upon an idea he had abandoned years ago, a dynamic, self-correcting feedback loop that could exponentially enhance efficiency under varying conditions. At the time, he had dismissed the concept as too complex to implement. But now, with Tesla's resources and expertise, it suddenly seemed possible. Adrian's heart raced as he sketched the modifications. The new design wouldn't just generate power, it would adapt to its environment, making it far more versatile than anything Soltech could produce. The next morning, he presented the idea to the team. Initially, there were concerns about the technical challenges, but Elon's enthusiasm was infectious. "This isn't just an improvement," Elon said, his eyes alight with excitement. "This changes everything. If we can pull this off, we'll leapfrog anything Soltech is working on." The team got to work immediately, and within a week, they had a working prototype. During the first live test, the device outperformed all expectations, achieving an efficiency rate of 34%, an unprecedented leap for thermoelectric technology. Adrian felt a swell of pride as the team erupted in cheers, but his moment of triumph was tempered by a deeper realization. For years, he had defined himself by his struggles, his fall from grace, his life on the streets, and his battle against Soltech. But now, standing in a room full of people celebrating his vision, he understood that his worth wasn't tied to those hardships. He had always been capable of greatness, and now he was finally in a position to prove it, not just to the world but to himself. Later that evening, Adrian and Elon shared a rare moment of quiet in Elon's office. "You did it," Elon said, raising a glass of whiskey in a toast. "We did it," Adrian corrected, though he couldn't hide his smile. Elon studied him for a moment. "What's next for you?" The question caught Adrian off guard. "What do you mean?" "We still have to deal with Soltech." "We will," Elon said. "But this project has already proven your brilliance. You've got options now. You could lead your own division, start your own company, whatever you want." Adrian considered this, the weight of Elon's words sinking in. For the first time in years, his future felt like something he could shape rather than something dictated by circumstance. "I think," Adrian said slowly, "I want to keep building things that matter. Not for profit, not for revenge, just because I can. Because it's the right thing to do." Elon nodded, a rare smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "That's the kind of thinking that changes the world." The following week, Tesla publicly unveiled the new device, complete with Adrian's innovations. The announcement sent shockwaves through the tech world, forcing Soltech to retreat. Their legal threats dissolved under scrutiny, and their attempts to discredit Adrian backfired spectacularly, painting them as villains in the court of public opinion. But Adrian's journey wasn't just about defeating Soltech or proving his worth. The project's success sparked a global conversation about innovation, collaboration, and the potential of untapped talent. Adrian, once a forgotten genius lost to the streets, became a symbol of resilience and the transformative power of second chances. And though the road ahead was sure to bring new challenges, he faced it with a newfound confidence and purpose. For the first time in a long time, Adrian Parker felt like he belonged exactly where he was meant to be. As the months passed and the world took notice of Adrian Parker's groundbreaking work, a quiet transformation unfolded, not just in Adrian, but in everyone involved. The initial excitement of Tesla's success gave way to deeper, more personal growth. Adrian was no longer just an inventor, he was a symbol of redemption. He walked the halls of Tesla with a newfound confidence, no longer burdened by the shadow of his past. The once disheveled man who had fought for scraps on the streets now held meetings with senior engineers, his voice commanding and thoughtful. Yet, even with the accolades and recognition, Adrian never forgot the lessons his struggles had taught him. He often sat in the lab after hours, staring at the prototype that had changed his life. He reflected on how close he had come to losing himself to doubt and desperation. "I almost let fear control me again," he thought. But it had been those moments of fear that had taught him resilience. The project, and the people who believed in him, had shown him that he was more than his past failures. He could move forward, not in spite of them, but because of them. Elon Musk, too, had changed. The billionaire, known for his relentless drive and hard-edged vision, found himself taking more time to listen, to collaborate. Adrian's persistence and moral clarity had shown Elon the value of nurturing potential, not just extracting it. He began to understand that true leadership came not just from pushing boundaries, but from empowering others to do the same. He started taking steps to create more inclusive spaces within Tesla, where innovative minds from all walks of life could thrive. One evening, Elon and Adrian sat together on the rooftop of Tesla's main building, watching the city lights twinkle below. The cool breeze ruffled Adrian's hair as he sipped a glass of water, reflecting on how far he had come. "You know, when we started this project, I thought I was the only one who had something to prove," Adrian admitted. Elon turned to him with a knowing smile. "You weren't the only one. This project reminded me that the world isn't just a competition to win, it's a place to make a difference." His voice carried a rare vulnerability. "I've spent so much of my life trying to be the smartest guy in the room that I forgot how much more powerful it is to be the person who brings others together." Adrian met Elon's eyes and nodded. They were two men who had found redemption not just through their individual successes but through their partnership and shared vision. They had seen what could happen when genius was paired with empathy, and it was a lesson that neither would forget. The team at Tesla, inspired by Adrian's story, began to think differently. Lisa Chang, the once skeptical engineer who had questioned Adrian's theories, approached him with her own ideas. She had found a renewed sense of purpose in her work, not just as a problem solver but as someone who could inspire others to take risks. The culture of innovation at Tesla shifted from a space defined by competition to one enriched by collaboration. For Adrian, the most profound change came when he started mentoring young engineers and inventors. He used to be the one hiding away in the corner, afraid to share his ideas, sure they'd be dismissed. Now, he was the mentor he had wished he'd had, urging them to overcome fear, to think big, and to understand that failure was not an endpoint but a lesson. One day, a young woman named Mira, who had been struggling to break into the engineering field, approached Adrian with an idea. "I don't know if this will work," she admitted, her voice wavering. Adrian smiled warmly. "Let's find out together," he said. In that moment, Adrian understood that his transformation was complete, not just because of the technology he had helped create but because of the lives he had touched, the hope he had restored. In a world often driven by profit and power, Adrian Parker's story reminded everyone that innovation was more than just creating something new, it was about uplifting the people around you. And as he stood in front of a crowd at a conference, sharing his journey with others, Adrian felt an unwavering sense of peace. He had fought for more than just a better energy source, he had fought for himself, and won. And in doing so, he had given others the strength to fight for their own second chances, too. Adrian Parker's story, once a tale of hardship and obscurity, rippled outwards, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Tesla's unveiling of Adrian's groundbreaking thermoelectric converter had more than just commercial implications, it ignited a global conversation about access to clean energy, innovation, and the potential that lay dormant in overlooked minds. The project's success brought affordable, portable energy solutions to regions where power was once a luxury. Remote communities in Africa and Southeast Asia, where traditional power grids were inaccessible or non-existent, saw new opportunities open up. With Tesla's technology, schools could stay illuminated past dusk, medical clinics could refrigerate life-saving vaccines, and small businesses could power their operations without fear of rolling blackouts. The impact was profound, healthcare improved, education thrived, and economic stability grew. Internationally, Adrian's rise from homelessness to hero inspired a wave of movements that pushed for better representation and opportunity for underprivileged and marginalized communities in STEM fields. His story became a rallying cry for diversity and inclusivity in technology, highlighting the untapped potential in individuals who had long been written off. Conferences dedicated to empowering hidden innovators sprouted up, offering mentorship programs, scholarships, and startup grants to those who had never before been given a platform. Adrian's collaboration with Elon Musk also shifted the way tech leaders approached innovation. The tech community began to understand that success wasn't solely about market share or intellectual property, it was about pushing boundaries for the collective good. Elon Musk, having witnessed the power of nurturing raw talent and doing things differently, launched an initiative called Project Phoenix, aimed at funding grassroots inventors and supporting their work in sustainable technologies. Tesla started partnerships with nonprofits to distribute energy solutions to developing regions, embedding the ethos of progress for all into its corporate DNA. In the US, Adrian's story resonated particularly deeply in Silicon Valley and tech hubs across the nation. What had been a culture defined by competition and elite access transformed into a movement that celebrated collaborative problem-solving and the democratization of knowledge. A shift occurred where engineers and inventors no longer worked in silos but came together to refine, adapt, and share ideas, fueling an era of unprecedented innovation. Adrian's influence extended beyond technology. He became an advocate for the importance of mental health support, especially for those facing societal pressures to succeed. His work with Tesla included not just the engineering team but also a partnership with nonprofits to support people who were struggling with homelessness and unemployment. Tesla's new division, focused on social impact, worked to create job opportunities and training programs for those who were marginalized. The message Adrian carried, about resilience, second chances, and believing in one's potential, reached people who felt trapped in their circumstances, convincing them that change was possible. The global narrative shifted from one of scarcity to one of possibility, underscored by Adrian's journey from a forgotten genius to a leader in sustainable innovation. On a personal level, Adrian's journey healed old wounds, not just within himself but within society. Public perception of homelessness and unemployment shifted from seeing individuals as failures to understanding them as potential bearers of great ideas and untapped talent. The stigma faded as people saw that even those who seemed least likely to succeed could change the world when given the chance. And for Adrian, who once viewed himself through the lens of defeat, the legacy he left was one of hope and transformation. He often visited the communities that had benefited from the new energy solutions, seeing firsthand the impact of his work. He'd watch a teacher light up a classroom with a simple switch, or a young girl giggle as she powered up her tablet. In those moments, Adrian knew that what he had built was more than a device, it was a new beginning for countless people around the world. Adrian's journey had been about more than invention, it was about igniting the belief that anyone, no matter their past, could change the course of the future. And that belief reshaped the world, reminding everyone that progress, at its heart, is about more than technology. It's about humanity. The day had come. The courtroom was filled with the hum of anticipation as Tesla's legal team prepared to make their case against Soltech Labs. The media buzzed with reports about the impending showdown, speculating on what it would mean for the future of sustainable technology. Adrian stood at the front, flanked by Elon and a team of legal and engineering experts. His heart pounded with a mix of dread and determination. This was the final confrontation, not just for Tesla's future, but for his own. The head lawyer for Soltech, a sharp-eyed man named Edward Graves, rose to speak, his voice smooth and confident. Ladies and gentlemen, we have provided ample evidence that Tesla has infringed on proprietary technology developed by Soltech Labs. These innovations were stolen and misappropriated by Mr. Parker during his time as an outside consultant. Adrian's hands tightened into fists as he sat on the edge of the witness stand. The lies felt like a physical blow, but he knew that now was not the time to react. He focused instead on the clear, steady voice of Tesla's lead attorney, Claire Halston, as she rose to make her rebuttal. Your Honor, we stand before you not just to defend Tesla but to protect the integrity of innovation itself. Mr. Parker's technology did not come from Soltech, it came from years of his own research, trials, and failures. The real question here is, who truly drives progress, the ones who suppress or the ones who push boundaries? The room fell silent as Claire's words sunk in. But the real shift came when Adrian was called to testify. As he took the stand, memories of his life before this moment surged. The night spent alone, the battles with self-doubt, and the day Elon had believed in him, all coalesced into a deep, unshakable resolve. Edward Graves leaned forward, a smirk on his face. Mr. Parker, can you confirm that the technology you presented was first conceived when you were employed by Soltech? Adrian's voice was steady as he responded, no. The idea began long before I ever worked for Soltech, when I was just a kid with a dream and nowhere to go. Soltech took what I created, but the true blueprint, the innovation that can change lives, was always mine. The courtroom erupted into a murmur. The tension, which had been strung taut, snapped as Claire presented evidence, blueprints, journal entries, and email correspondences between Adrian and his colleagues at Tesla that demonstrated his independent work. The final piece was a video recording from a tech conference where Adrian had first revealed the concept years before, long before Soltech even knew he existed. As the judge deliberated, a hush fell over the room. Adrian glanced at Elon, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. He knew they had won. This was more than just a legal victory, it was a confirmation that his work was not stolen but built from the foundation of his own struggles and brilliance. The judge's gavel struck, breaking the silence. In favor of Tesla, the evidence presented is conclusive. Soltech's claim is without merit. Adrian felt the weight of months lift from his chest. He stood, surrounded by the team that had supported him. Lisa Chang gave him a thumbs up, and Elon approached, a smile full of pride and relief. "Congratulations, Adrian," Elon said. Adrian looked around at everyone in the room, his team, the reporters, and the family who had become his chosen family. He knew this moment wasn't the end, it was a beginning. He had fought for more than technology. He had fought for a belief that no matter how far you fall, you can always rise, build, and change the world. In the weeks following the trial, the world watched as Adrian Parker's life continued to unfold in ways that were once unimaginable. The victory against Soltech brought a newfound wave of public admiration and opportunity. Adrian was offered speaking engagements, mentorship roles, and opportunities to partner with research institutions focused on sustainable energy. But he never lost sight of the simple reasons behind his work, making a difference and inspiring others who felt unseen. Tesla's success with Adrian's technology rippled across industries. Other companies, recognizing the power of collaboration over competition, started to adapt their own approaches to innovation. The conversation about sharing knowledge and building a better world, not just for profit, became a part of the fabric of the tech community. Elon Musk, inspired by Adrian's journey, launched Project Phoenix, an initiative aimed at funding startups and inventors from underrepresented backgrounds. The goal was not just to foster profit but to change the face of the industry, reminding people that real progress came from working together. Adrian's work did more than transform communities, it sparked a movement. He spent much of his time traveling, teaching, and mentoring. On a warm evening in a small village in Kenya, Adrian watched as children used a tablet powered by Tesla's portable energy unit. A young boy looked up at him, eyes wide with wonder. "What's your name?" he asked. "Adrian," he replied, a smile spreading across his face. "Thank you, Adrian," the boy said, holding up the tablet. "Now I can learn." Adrian's heart swelled. He knew the impact of what he'd created wasn't just in the technology itself but in what it represented: hope, opportunity, and the idea that anyone, no matter where they started, could change the world. Elon often joined him in these visits, sharing stories and seeing firsthand how their innovations were altering lives. One afternoon, as the two men stood by the edge of a solar field in the U.S., the setting sun painted the sky in shades of gold and pink. "You know, Adrian," Elon said, staring at the horizon, "I think we're seeing the world change, not just with technology but with how we think about each other." Adrian nodded. That's the real innovation. As the world moved forward, Adrian knew that his journey had been more than an ascent from despair to triumph. It had been a testament to the transformative power of resilience, shared dreams, and a belief in second chances. And as he watched the light touch the land, he understood that progress, at its core, was a human story, written not just in inventions but in the connections they made possible.